Hey everybody, it's been a while. You know what that means? That's right, it's time for another talking time-lapse video with me, your good buddy Josh Davenport. As always, all the videos here on YouTube, as well as the comics on RGBros.com, are brought to you by the fine folks supporting the work over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Josh Davenport. And those fine folks who are giving me their wonderful support are Brandon, Dan, Vivian, Matt, Mike, and Tobias. Thank you all so much for your continued patronage. Today we are doing the talking time-lapse video of RG Bros comic The Talk. That's a lot of talk and tease in there, if you please. And so this is just a play on that age-old euphemism for talking about sex, the birds and the bees, which I didn't look it up beforehand, but I don't know where the heck people got birds and bees from for fornicating, having the sexual intercourses. I'm sure you can Google it and find out the origin, but you would imagine it would have something to do with, like, bees you kind of understand because of pollination and all that. Birds, I don't know. I don't know where that part came from. But I would imagine whoever came up with this wasn't really thinking about bees pollinating plants or whatever. I don't know. I just, like, maybe birds and bees were just always getting it on in front of people back in the day. But if you were going off of animals that are, like, you're more likely to see boning in a public forum, it would be, I don't know, let's have a talk about the stray cats and dogs, because that more than anything else. Or maybe dragonflies, constantly seeing them hooked up doing their biz. Dragonflies and dogs, probably dogs more than cats. When cats are getting at it, they make horrific noises that sound like people are being murdered. Not that I enjoy the sound of, animals mating in general, but I find cats to be probably the most egregious. And as we all know, I'm an expert on animal husbandry, or whatever the heck it's called. But, yeah. Talking about sex, baby. Talking about you and yourself. You stop sexing yourself. Stop sexting yourself. People think it's weird that you're constantly writing dirty messages and sending them to your own phone. Nobody's impressed. They can see where it comes from. You pull it up and you're like, look who this person sent this to me, and they're like, this person is you. You sent it to yourself. And just PSA, nobody's fooled. So I don't know if you had the talk with your parents. I don't think it ever happened to me, to be honest. Like, it never came up in our household. And then, like, I think it was 4th or 5th grade, which in hindsight seems kind of early, but who cares? They don't give you sex ed, but they tell you, like, they separated, at least in my school in Tennessee, like, they separated the guys in one class and the girls in another, and they were like, here's your body parts. Any questions about these things? And then, like, in high school you have sexual education where they're like, if you have sex, mushrooms are going to grow on your junk and then you'll die. So I'm more of the I've never been all about abstinence or whatever. It's just like, I think as long as you're having sex safely with a consensual partner, and you're both old enough to make the decision, probably, then it's your business, and whatever. It don't matter to me how you get about it. But I think one time, my mom, like, this was after we had some class at school, and then also kids talk, especially, I don't know what the female experience is on this, so I hesitate to comment on that, but I know boys are talking about this garbage, it's just sex, whatever, all the time. So our mom, like, I think randomly we're walking through the house one time, and mom was like, do we need to have like a talk about, she got kind of, I was like, no, we're good on that. Know how things come about. And at that time, didn't really know how all the mechanics of it worked, but I knew, like, ladies and gents got together and, sex produced babies. I was not under the impression that storks brought them anymore. Which is another weird thing. And I apologize for all the coughing and hacking and all that. But if you're like anywhere around the general area where I live here in the southern U.S., um, the weather has been changing on a near daily basis, with a good 30-degree swing. And it's just killing me. It's just murdering me. But, yeah, I can't remember what I was talking about. Something about, yeah, storks. Where did that get started? Like, is it just because storks are big? You would think, and I guess because they can fly, they can cover greater distances. But, people traveled on horses all the time. Why didn't it become horses bring babies? I guess because then every time a horse pulled up in front of somebody's house, they'd be like, baby brother! And storks are a little less common than horses. So I guess that makes sense. Mystery solved, everybody. We did it. Give yourselves a round of applause. We figured out the mystery of stork to baby delivery. Of course, now we're probably all old enough to know that the only way to have a child is to bury the severed privates of any male human being in a cabbage patch. And then those grow a baby. That's how I've always understood it. I had a kid. That's how we did it. Exactly. Don't be like me, kids. Don't chop off your junk and plant it in a dirt patch. It's a serious business. Oh, God. But yeah, I don't have any salacious stories to share with you as far as sex is concerned. I just wanted to make a joke about the birds and the bees. Because I thought birds and bees being together is just ridiculous in general. And I'm not the first person to make this observation, but I had a fun time drawing all these little weird birds. I thought about doing like a bunch of different types of birds, but again, that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it'd be cool to do like, 10 different bird types in there, but I think it was, I was running low on time, and I was like, I'm going to have to make them all look like the same bird. For when you get those bird infestations that are always happening. I've been chased by a bird once that my roommate had. It was an African gray parrot, or I think that's what it was. Was it? Yeah, I think that's what it was. Either way, his name was Yves, and it was a mostly very nice bird. I don't know if I've told this story. I don't think I have. But I was at home when we shared an apartment with just Yves and me, and there goes my phone. I probably should have turned that on silent. I'm not editing that out. You need to know I'm popular enough to get messages, even though it's from my mom. She probably heard me talking about dirty stuff and was sending me a message. It was like, don't you dare say things like the word sex on an internet forum. In an internet place where videos happen. Because that's how, everybody's mom talks about YouTube. They're like, that internet place where videos happen. The YouTube. So anyway, I was telling a story about being attacked by Yves, the African gray parrot. So my friend Matt, who I lived with at the time, used to work out of town a lot. So most of the time just be me in the apartment during the week. He'd come in on the weekends, and I'd help take care of Yves sometimes. And he lived in a cage. So, every once in a while I'd be like, Matt's like, you can get him out. Let him look out the window, roam around a little bit. I'm like, fine, that's fine. So he would do that. One time, got him out, got him on top of the cage, and I was like, oh, you want to look out the window? So I started drawing the blinds up, and then the blinds came off of the wall as they were going up, and came and smacked Yves in the head and knocked him down in between the cage and the window, which is horrific. And, I regret that happened, constantly, but I didn't mean for it to happen. But the bird, of course, does not know this, so he gets up and he is pissed off. I don't know if you've ever been in a small room with a pissed off parrot, but it's not fun. They tend to flutter straight up for the face region. Now, I was kind of freaking out. One, because at first I thought I killed the bird. And then secondly, then the bird attack happened. And I was like, I got to get out of here. So I got out of the room, went down the hall, and then it wasn't like a full door. It's like a weird wood slat screen doorish thing between the hallway and the main room of the apartment. Between the living room, like where the bedrooms were. So I closed that door, and I was like, oh, God, birds can't operate doors or whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, Yves's beak comes underneath the door and just starts, like, grabbing the other side of it and starting jiggling it open. And, you've heard stories probably about how smart some birds are, and especially, like, parrots and ravens and crows and all that. They're intelligent. He was on his way to figuring out how to get in there and remove my juicy eyeball meats. That was going to happen. So I was like, I got to figure something out. So I got a broom, and I gently opened the door. And Yves, I wasn't going to hit him with the broom or anything like that. That's just kind of ridiculous. But he is afraid of brooms just for some weird reason. So all I had to do was like point a broom at him. And he started like wiggling backwards. I got him to go all the way back and wiggle all the way back up into his cage and shut it. And I was like, oh, God. And later on, we got it checked out, and he ended up being okay, but it was just like he had a small injury. But that was like simultaneously one of the guiltiest times I've ever felt in my life, because I never want to hurt anybody or anything if I can help it. And also one of the scariest times, because it was like having a bird tear your face apart is not the way I wanted it to end, and it could easily happen. So, at the very least, it probably would have been some like semi to full blinding going on. We since patched things up. Yves was a cool bird. I think he's passed now, but it's pretty awesome. He used to make video game noises, because Matt would always play games with him in the room. So he'd always be like, stuff like that. It was a cool bird. R.I.P. Yves. You will be missed. But my eyeballs are thankful every day that you did not remove them. Here we are into the coloring phase of this comic. Putting a little shine on the automobile. And I'm not sure if I think I've been sort of consistent with the car in these comics. I think it's always usually like reddish to some degree, but I know it's only appeared a few times. They've had engine problems. There was a time Reggie drove it off a cliff because of a bug being in the car. They went to Kmart in it once. It was replaced briefly in an early comic when Reggie was driving around an advertising mobile. But I haven't done a whole ton of car-based comics or comics based on them being in a car. Don't know why, it doesn't come up that often. But yeah, I don't know. I know people listening to this thing come from all over. So if you got a weird story about how sexual education was in your school or whatever, post it down below. Let me know what's going on. Always interested to hear how wacky things are. Mine was just basic stuff, which is like, here's how sex works. Don't do it ever in life at all. Which is ridiculous to me. Have whatever belief you want, but for me, it's like I don't think you should just be getting it on with everybody you meet if you want to and they want to. That's your business, but it's also not a thing that's like gonna kill you every time it happens. So, whatever, make of that what you will. I'm not an authority on the subject by any stretch. Do not take my advice when it comes to sexing people up. And I think that's the technical term for it. Doctors are like, have you sexed anyone up lately? That's what they ask you when you go in for a routine physical, right? There's my doctor, just weird. Could be just have a weird doctor. But it looks like this is drawing to a close, so hope you enjoyed this as much as I have, and again, I'll try to get back here sooner than later. I know this one's rolling in a little later than normal, but times have been hard lately, what with this head explosion I got and all. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one, everybody. Have a good time. Bye-bye.